They went out to the desert to see the Baptist because deep down they were yearning for something more. They followed the Messiah because he opened up the parts of themselves which had been silenced. And we think about pruning back some parts of our lives because there are new things yet to grow. 3 invitations to living life more fully. And now it's one thing to hear the invitation, even to entertain it, but how do we go about living it? Well, we go out to the desert to listen and we cut back on other things and we open new sides of ourselves up. We listen to that, but then what? Well, for that, I brought you here to Martin Church to meet an old friend of mine who is something of a yoga teacher, and I think he can help us out. You might be relieved to know that with the mention of yoga, I'm not going to be suggesting you wrap your ankles around your ears today. I won't be attempting to demonstrate the downward-facing dog collar, because the yoga teacher that we're here to meet is Moses. Yes, that Moses. Moses with his stone tablets. Moses was a pioneer of religion, and a large part of that was a set of rules to follow or principles to practice. One of the most helpful ways to think of religion is as a practice. It is exercise, like running, if you like. Like running, it's not always fun, but it makes us more fit for purpose. Running around the block doesn't actually achieve anything in itself, but it can make us able to make more of the rest of living. And religion and yoga can be similar. When I say yoga, you probably think about bending and stretching, what are the asanas of hatha yoga. But there is a long tradition behind these, going back thousands of years, which are about freeing ourselves, body, mind, and spirit, so that with practice, with discipline, we can experience the true peace and union which our deepest desires are reaching for. Now, just like there are many schools of Christianity, many different denominations, so there are lots of schools of yoga. It's an ancient tradition that's inspired many people in different parts of the world in different ways. Now, the school of yoga that's attracted me most is that which is sometimes called classical yoga or Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga means 8-limbed. This isn't about having 8 limbs to get into extraordinary positions. No, those 8 limbs are each a different practice. And one of those practices is asana, finding physical control in certain body postures. But it's the first of those limbs, known as yamas, which bring me to Moses. The yamas are about disciplines of abstinence, non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity or sexual restraint, and non-covetousness. And this is where classical yoga begins, where the journey to contentment and peace sets off from. And those 5 practices should sound familiar. Non-violence, thou shalt not murder. Truthfulness, thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not steal, nor commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet. These are the last of the 5 of our 10 commandments, and they are the place where Judaism and Christianity begin too. I have a cycle of prayers in my own pattern of daily prayer, and among these are the commandments. On one day in the cycle, I commit myself to the commandment, thou shalt not murder. Now, that might not sound terribly difficult, but as a principle of non-violence, it asks quite a lot. The first step is for me to refrain from violence in my actions, and most of us are quite good at that. But then the next step is for restraint in my words, to try and not say anything that will cause hurt or harm, which is a little bit harder. And then finally, it asks me to be non-violent in my thoughts, an inner discipline of the practice of love, from which good words and caring actions will follow. Each of the commandments can become a commitment to practice a way of life. This was the invitation which Moses carried on the stone tablets. Moses out in the Sinai desert with the people of Israel, a people on a journey to a new life. The new life was not just a different place where the grass might be greener. It was also an invitation to nourish and grow their inner lives, the beginning of the way to true happiness. You can make a daily devotion with any of these commandments. Honesty to ourselves and to others, faithfulness, respecting property and personhood, avoiding covetousness, both material and spiritual. In today's devotion, I invite you to join me and be committed to non-violence. Just take a moment then for a breath, a deep breath, and to relax, and to remember that wherever you are, God was there first. And now in today's devotion, let's start by thinking about the principle of non-violence in action. So take a moment to think about the way you behave to others, the places and activities of your life, and how you can manifest non-violence in your actions. And now let's go deeper and think about our words, the way we speak to people and the way we speak of people. Is there anything in our words that can bring hurt or harm to others, whether spoken or written, in person or over the internet? And if you're ready to, in the presence of God, commit yourself to non-violence in word. And then this third part is probably the most difficult, to try and love in our thoughts. So again, a deep breath as we move on in this devotion, in this prayer of commitment. Now inspect your thoughts, the way you think of others, the thoughts you entertain about them, what you wish for them. And we try to follow the commandment of Jesus to love others as ourselves. And to do that from our very thoughts, from our hearts. You might like to start with somebody you find it easy to love. And so commitment to love and non-violence towards them comes without a great difficulty. But then you might think of those who are a little bit more difficult to love, or perhaps a little bit less known to you. But you can commit to non-violence and to loving thoughts towards them. And of course, the hardest one is towards those we really find it quite hard to like. But perhaps we can reach there too and commit ourselves to loving them in our very thoughts, being generous rather than judgmental towards them, wishing well for them even if we feel they wish us harm. As I say, you can do this with any of the commandments and see if you can internalize them deeply. And as we do this, we are entering into the way of love. We are beginning on that great path of yoga that Moses set before us, but on that great path which leads to peace, to union with God. Let's end with the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.